For those of you that do not know me, my name is Dan Katz, and I work with Evolve Masterclass and with Positively You. I am a certified master life coach, and I am a teacher, and I love doing everything that I do. And I'm so excited to share this with you today. I invite you guys to please use the chat. I will open up to questions when it is over. But as we progress further, if you have a question, put it into the chat. All right, so let's begin on our journey to live limitlessly. First of all, and first and foremost, give your guys a big round of applause. Give yourself that pat on the back because just showing up here today really takes courage. It takes strength because we all want something new. We all want something better, and it's definitely our time. And I want to also make this point too. Whenever we go to a workshop, and I'll be honest, I love workshops. Workshops are like my favorite thing. I love learning new things. I love great podcasts. I love reading great books. But when I speak with people, hey, I'm giving a workshop, or hey, do you want to go to a workshop with me? People always think that the workshop is trying to fix them, and that's not what it's about. No one's trying to fix anybody because, in all honesty, nobody needs to be fixed. But it is about bringing new information, and it's about helping us on our journey to finding our truest self. Because our truest self is right here. It's just how do we find it? So we can be treasure hunters and we can dive deep into ourselves to find that truest light, that truest spark. So this is all about recharging, discovering, and moving forward. So you don't have to do anything right now. Just lean back, hear, ask questions, and have a great time. All right. Let's talk about this idea of joyful living. So, joyful living isn't necessarily about being joyful or seven, right? It's about alignment. We're looking to live in a way that feels right for ourselves, where our inner and our outer lives really match. Because joy isn't really this instant reward, and it's not really that reward at the end. It's about practicing every single day of building yourself in the middle. So, when we look at joy, let's look at that word limitless, right? Because this is about limitless joyfulness. And it doesn't mean doing things all the time or chasing that hustle. It removes that invisible limits that we put on ourselves. Because I know that for myself, there's always a limit to what I do. There's always something that stops me, an unspoken expectation. Maybe it's unspoken guilt or shame or fear, right? Those are the limits that we're looking at. Look, people aren't lazy and people aren't really broken. From my experience, people are exhausted. We're exhausted from trying to be everything for everyone, but not necessarily everything for ourselves. So, what we would love to do is to release what's not ours and return to what is. So, let's look at some of those things that are draining our energy. These are some of the sneakiest things that are draining who we are on a daily basis. And ask for yourself. You start the day, you're charged, and by the end of the day, you're drained. Now, yes, not to say that we all don't have busy lives, because we do. And I know that for myself, I have a job that is very demanding and pulls at me from all different aspects. And there is being exhausted from that. And then there's being exhausted from other things that seem out of my control. Let's look at some of those things that I think are like the three sneakies, or what I like to call them. Three things that kind of drain us more than our general day-to-day lives. The first thing, unspoken expectations. So, unspoken expectations are these shoulds that come from family or friends, maybe your boss, culture, social media. These kind of shape how we think we're supposed to show up. And often it's chasing somebody else's definition of success. So I'll give you an example. This past week, I was at my nephew's wedding. It was amazing and it was awesome, and I really, really loved it. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was listening to everybody else have a conversation about their summer. And it was like, I went here, I bought this for myself. I had to show up to this party and I had to outdo this person. Or I saw this on TikTok and I really needed to have it. Or, oh my God, for the first time, I was so happy because I was able to go to ABC function with this new name designer. And I was listening to a lot of these conversations, and that wasn't really what my summer was all about. Because those expectations that we see online or that we see from friends weren't my expectations. But then I thought to myself, how often do I get dragged down that road where somebody is taking, okay, so I'll give you a true story as well. I was speaking to a coworker earlier who she and her husband went to Dubai for 2 weeks over the summer. I'm like, I can't afford to go to Dubai. And then I started going down that spiral like, how did they afford to go to Dubai? I must be bad because I don't have the money to go to Dubai. Not really that it's my first choice, but regardless, I started down this spiral. Now, a couple of years ago, that spiral would have lasted for weeks. So grateful because that spiral lasted for 30 seconds. But it is something that I generally know because I've seen from other people these unspoken things that we see all over social media or other things that our family members are doing or expectations that our family has on us. So that's one of those little sneakies. How about the internal over control is what I like to call it. So this looks like trying to manage everybody else's perceptions or emotions or their experience. I know that for myself, that is truly exhausting. The truth is, we cannot control outcomes. We can't. I had an expectation of what today's workshop was going to be, but there were so many different things that happened completely out of my control. But I wasn't attached to how it was going to look. I was just really excited that we were going to be able to do it. So when we try and over control things to make things look a certain way or be a certain way, that's also really draining. And I'm not sure if y'all have had that experience. I know I tend to have in my day job outside of doing this, I tend to have that for myself a lot because I have to do a lot of events and a lot of presentations. But when we can step back and realize that internal over control is something that we are experiencing and we can find draining, it opens up a whole new world. And the third sneaky, okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. This is the sneaky that I tend to deal with every day, multiple times a day. We call it joy guilt. I feel guilty if I did something that brings me a ton of joy. And I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't feel this amount of happiness. I may not have earned it, or I don't necessarily deserve to feel like that over something. Look, y'all, I went to the gym today and I hit something that I've never hit before, ever. I actually had to take a picture. And 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't feel like this. And I literally felt myself shrink back, almost as if I would did something wrong by feeling that amount of joy. And joy guilt is something that so many of us feel, whether it's cultural or whether it's familial. That joy guilt is a lot of present and it takes away a lot of energy. Joy isn't a prize. Guys, joy's our birthright. When we postpone joy, we're really postponing life. And think about that for a second. When we postpone joy, our birthright, we postpone life. Think the last time that you felt really joyful, and if you allowed yourself to express that full joy and what it would have been like. These sneakies, these drains, are really what bring us to a position of feeling stuck or burned out. When things look fine on the outside, no one knows what's going on the inside. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people on social media where you're like, yeah, that's not really what I know them to be. But that's a lot of times of what we feel when these sneakies get to us. We've done a great job of feeling fine on the outside, but it doesn't match how we feel on the inside. So, what we thought today would be interesting, now that we've looked at a little bit about where we're at, and I'm wondering if some of this actually resonates with y'all. And if it does, you are so not alone. And you don't have to admit it to anybody. I'm not going to take a poll or anything like that or put anybody on the spot. What I'm looking at really is if it is resonating with you, one, know you're not alone. Two, give yourself credit for saying, you know what? I recognize this. And three, say, isn't it going to be a lot of fun to be able to figure out all the different strategies? So here's three that we're going to talk about today. And let's spend about the next 15 minutes discussing this. And then I'll open it up to some questions and have a great meditation based on this. Let's shift right now into action. Here are some of the things that we can do right now to reconnect and bring more joy and more energy. All right, first one, let's call it energy editing. Look at energy as if it were money, right? Everything that you say yes to is something that you're actually saying no to. Most people spend all of their energy on autopilot. I totally understand this because I'm in my late 50s. I know I don't look like that, but anyways, I'm in my late 50s and I am still struggling with this. Family and friends, coworkers, you're doing too much. Maybe you've heard that. Oh my gosh, you're just doing too much. You don't always have to say yes. That could be work. That could be family. That could be your friends. All of the above. So ask yourself these questions. What I'm saying yes to, does that align with where I am in my life? Does it align with where I'm living and how I want to live? Two, if I say yes, will this activity drain me or nourish me? Now, here's the thing. Your ego mind is going to step in and everything is going to nourish you. If I do this project at work, my boss is going to love me and give me kudos, and that's nourishing. Or I am sure I'll be up for the next promotion. That's nourishing. Or my family member is going to absolutely love me and say thank you and acknowledge me. And that's nourishing. But is it? And that's the question. Because on the surface, so much of what we say yes to, I can make an argument for it to be nourishing. So some of you are like, Dan, this is great, but how am I going to know in the moment? Take a breath. Take a breath. Someone's going to say, hey, Dan, I would love it if you could do this for me. And my first instinct is yes. But if I take a millisecond, breathe, exhale, I will know automatically if it will nourish me. Automatically. Your higher self just needs you to take a break, a breath. Your ego mind, we want to put that in the back seat. It needs a breath to get back in the back seat so that I can be in charge. One breath. and you'll know instinctively if this is nourishing or draining. And then the third thing when it comes to this, am I saying yes out of guilt or because I'm saying yes because it's grounding to me? And if you're saying it out of guilt, the great discovery question is, what do you feel guilty about? And when we can look at some of this and answer some of these questions, wow, it becomes very freeing. And I love this last one. I'm saying guilt or grounded. And we start to notice that difference between these energy drainers and energy chargers. Ooh, it is one of the most powerful ways that we can show self-respect to us. Look, I went to the gym today. Okay. I am proud and I was energized by it. But I know that some of the things that I've said yes to over the summer, I didn't feel charged. I didn't feel energized when it was over. I felt drained and exhausted. And I'm not going to lie, a little depressed. So those are some of those things. If we could use this energy editing so we can really decide whether it's nourishing, whether it's recharging, or whether it's draining and bringing upon guilt, great way to check how it is that we're feeling. Another strategy. And again, energy editing to me, it's awesome. It's in the moment. It's phenomenal, I think, for me. How about rewriting your inner narrator? So we have these internal scripts, right? We didn't choose the scripts, but they're there anyways. We tell ourselves stories like, oh, I'm too much, or I'm not enough, or it's just too late. I'm in my mid 50s. I can't start going to the gym. It's too late. But what if we could rewrite these stories that we're telling us and that we're telling ourselves? Here's the thing. For those that don't know, there's story and there's fact, right? The fact is I'm wearing a blue shirt. That's a fact. The story is, well, I'm wearing a blue shirt because I know the blue really makes me look great. Okay? No, it's just a story I'm telling myself about blue. A fact is something that we can prove. The story is our justification around the fact. And we give ourselves a ton of stories like, I'm too old to do this, or I'm not enough, I don't deserve it, or I'm too much, I don't deserve it. And these are these internal stories. So, what if we could take a look at those stories? Let's call it a story audit. What if we asked ourselves some questions like, what's a story that I'm telling myself about? Or where did this story come from? Or is this really truth? Or is it just something that's been going on in my life so long that it's just familiar? And to explain that a little bit further, truth is real, but something that we do constantly, and we just do it because it's familiar and we're familiar with it, may not be a truth. But when something's familiar, it's comfortable. So maybe that comfortability is a truth. Or maybe that comfortability is a story and it's draining your energy. Or I love this. When you hear a story, how can I shift it? What's a more empowering story that I can practice? Like 50s isn't too old to go to the gym. It's just the right time because I know myself better and I've had life experience. So I know that my dedication is there. I can depend on myself. It's a story, but it's a better story than you're too old and all the 18 to 25-year-olds are going to laugh at you and make fun of you. That is a story. And it was a story I led my life for a very long time. And since I have been going to the gym all summer, not one 18 to 25-year-old has made fun of me or laughed at me. But man, that was a story I told myself for decades. So let's recreate our stories. Let's find empowering things. Because again, a story is just a story. So why not write one that serves us better than writing one that doesn't serve us at all or drains our energy or makes us feel bad? And the great thing about this is that we don't have to figure this out all at once. All we're trying to do is interrupt that old narrative that helps you keep yourself small. That's all we're doing. We're just interrupting the narrative enough that if we can take a bit of a break, we can shine some light on things. And once we shine light on things, you'll be surprised how quickly things move to change for the better. And it's amazing. And again, all we want to do is interrupt. Think to yourself if you've ever gone to the movies and you're watching a film and you got your popcorn and you're just so excited. This movie is great. It's got you at the edge of your seat. You are so involved and so drained. You're right there. You are part of that movie. And we've all had that experience where the outside world disappears and we're just engrossed in the film that we're watching. Have you ever had the experience then where somehow the film breaks and the movie stops for a moment until they can fix it? That interruption in the movie is enough to bring you out of wherever it was that you were in that film. And now, all of a sudden, you are aware of everything around you. That's what we're doing here. Sometimes we're so engrossed in our stories and we're so engrossed in our very familiar narrative that it keeps going and going and going, just like that movie that we're engrossed in. But if we can stop it, it pulls us out. We can shine a light and we can make some shifts. Look, I could choose when the movie breaks to get up, to leave, and go home. Or I could choose to sit and wait till the movie's fixed and go back into my movie. We have that choice only when we interrupt the narrative. So I also promised you a third strategy, and I like this one. This is a little bit more spiritual, but it's called that joyful micro ritual. So we've got rituals that create rhyme and meaning, and they remind you that your brain and your body that joy is allowed, even in little small doses. So what's an example of some of these joyful micro rituals? All right, how about this? Now, this is one that I do. I really love this one. It may not be for everybody, or it might be for everybody, whichever story makes you feel better. A lot of times, if I want to set an intention for the day, there's a lot of different things that we can do, right? I can meditate on what my intention is going to be, and I can imagine it and visualize it. This is one where I actually light a candle, stare at that flame, because for me, candles are very comforting. Fire is very comforting. Not like fire, like a big fire, that God forbid, a building's coming down, but like a campfire, right? Or a fireplace fire, or just one in a candle. And then I set my intention for starting that day. Now, how does this help? The candle is very warming. It's sentimental. It feels good. If I'm setting an intention to accomplish something, every time I think about the warmth of the candle or the joy that candle or the smell of that candle brings me, my intention comes to life. My intention gains traction, and my intention and the warmth of the candle bring me the same peace inside. And lo and behold, I fulfill a lot of those intentions better. Or how about this? Before going to bed, why don't you do something that's called a joy inventory? Take 30 seconds, take a minute, meditate, sit back, do a joy inventory. What were some of those things throughout the day that brought you joy? When we start to focus on those things, it's almost like a gratitude journal, but a joy journal instead. When we start to focus on some of the things that brought us joy, we can feel what that means and we can move forward with that. And the next day, do another joy inventory. And every time you do something that brings you joy during the day, you'll be like, ooh, I get to remember this for my joy journal at night. Or how about a reverse to-do list? What if you list what showed up for you? What went well that day? Instead of this is my to-do list that I have to do. What if we make a to-do list of these are all the things that went really well today? I had a great time going to work in my car. I listened to just the best podcast. Or I showed up for work and my presentation went really well because I was very present. So instead of a to-do list, which is like, I have to do this. We've all been there. We've all been there. And if you're telling yourself you haven't been, think again because you know you have. What if we did a reverse to-do list? All the things that went well might help you do a lot more things during the day with a better attitude and a better frame of mind. I don't know, it's worth a shot, right? How about whisper something kind to yourself on a walk? Now, I love the idea of going to walk in nature. All right. I'm in South Florida and there's nature. It's a gorgeous state, but there's also nature wherever you go. If you're in the mountains, you can go on a hike. That's phenomenal. But a lot of people say to me, look, I don't really have a lot of nature. I don't really have a lot of time. How about a walk around your house? And if you're like, I'm in an apartment building, how about a walk around the parking lot? How about when you're at work and you're walking from one place to another? Or maybe you could take the stairs instead of the elevator. And on this walk, say something kind to yourself. Like, hey, I'm really proud of you for taking the stairs today. That's awesome. Great job. Or I'm really proud of you. You set a great intention with the candle this morning. Or I'm really proud of you because you've got really great intentions towards other people. You have a great heart. When we do one of these a day, just one, we start to shift and realize that I don't really need external support. Well, support we need, but external, you did a great job. I need those internal accolades. And as long as internally I'm checking myself, there's so much more joy because I depend on my joy instead of it being dependent upon others. Okay, what about write one joyful moment per day and put it in a jar? At the end of the month, you've got 30. And what happens if you're having maybe not the best day? What if I pull one of those little joyful moments out of the jar and I can relive that joy? Any of these rituals, right? The candle, the 30-second joy inventory, or the reverse to-do list, whispering something nice on a walk, or this joyful jar. I prefer to think of it as a joyful cookie jar because I like cookies, but that's just a me thing. Whatever you guys want to do is perfect, or whatever you want to call it. But if we do one of these, maybe try every Monday at the start of the week to do just one of these suggestions. Small isn't insignificant. Small builds sustainability. But we've all tried something new in the past, and we get so excited about it that we really go for it. But if that go for it is overwhelming, it's not sustainable. We end up stopping and revert back to old habits because those are sustainable because we're so used to them. But if we start small and we build, things really start to shift at that point. we're thinking about all of these great and wonderful things, right? And I'll be honest, sometimes it does take a little external advice. Steve Goldsmith is owner of a company called Steve Endurance. And for me, his little piece of advice is what really helped me get to the gym, start eating better, and really moving in that right direction. Now, it's up to me to find that sustainability in there. But sometimes we hear a kind word, or we hear something great, or we hear something that can change a perspective. It shifts everything inside. So when we look at ourselves, and let's look at today, we all came as we are, right? And we looked at some of the things that might be showing up. And this idea of living limitlessly isn't about doing more. It's about living truthfully. Look, it would be great if the universe came down and said, okay, boom, you're perfect. That would be awesome, but probably not going to happen. Again, my story, but probably not. But when we are able to look within and see what lights us up, all these shifts happen and happen. I have a story, and I'll make this a quick one because I do want to answer questions, and then I've got something so exciting to talk to you guys about. This is about a woman, and this woman had a meltdown after serving a birthday cake. All right, so let's go back and see where this woman came from. It was her kid's party, and she had stayed up the night before, and she went on Pinterest and she found the perfect cake. It took her hours, but the cake that her kid would love more than any cake. And she got the ingredients. And during the night, she made the cake over and over again until it was perfect. It had glittering frosting. She made these themed toppers from scratch, the whole thing. She, the next day, ran around all over the place and did one errand after another. She decorated the house. She cleaned like you've never cleaned before. Okay, including the baseboards that nobody sees. I know you're supposed to clean the baseboards, but come on, do we always clean them every day? Anyways, so she cleaned the baseboards and she smile on her face. She was so excited. And she could feel how tired she was as well. But the party came. She was ready. The kids came in, they laughed, they had a great time. The cake was a massive success. Everybody left. She sat down and she stared at a leftover slice of cake. And she just broke, cried and cried and cried. Because in the midst of all of it, she forgot something. She said that she wasn't mad about the cake. She was mad that the cake baker, the party planner, the life organizer that she is, she said, I can't remember the last time I gave myself a single slice of joy. She said, I realized I'd become so good at being there for everybody else. I stopped being there for the person that matters most, me. It was the beginning of her breakthrough. She started to reclaim joy. Just even 5 minutes at a time is all she started with. A quiet cup of coffee in the morning, a walk alone, starting a journal. She stopped earning her worth and started honoring her energy. The next cake that she made was just for her. And here's the thing, guys, your light is not too much. It's just waiting for more space to shine. And I think that's so important for all of us. So I would love to be able to answer some questions for you guys. If you have any, feel free to either write them in the chat or feel free to raise your hand or put your camera on. What do you got? And I know that things like this are different when we're in person. So again, I apologize for that, but I definitely want to be here for you guys. All right. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. How do you balance between being selfless and being selfish? Okay, so that's a really great one. A lot of that is the intention that goes behind it. Because selfish, we're doing things that we know are just for ourselves. If I take that last piece of cake and I know that the person across from me hasn't gotten any, that's selfish, right? I just want another piece of cake. Selfless is putting that mask on in the airplane when the plane is going down before putting it on your kid, like they warn you and they advise you. And the thing is, the reason why that's selfless is if I can't breathe, I can't help my child. If we don't do things for ourselves to recharge, to honor ourselves, to live healthily, then I can't be there to help the rest of the people in my world. Matt, does that make a little bit more sense? I'm going to say yes, hopefully. We have you mentioned joy guilt. What are some of the ways that we can have more tolerance for joy, especially for those of us who didn't grow up seeing joy as safe or celebrated? And I love the question. The thing is, joy guilt doesn't go away just because we say it needs to go away. Joy guilt goes away when we start to give ourselves permission to feel that joy. And sometimes when we start to feel that joy, we feel guilty and we give into the guilt right away. But us having this conversation today shines a light on the fact that we feel it. And when I feel it, Rachel, I'm going to give you a story of today. I went and got my partner lunch. And as I was coming back, I was listening to music. And I was having a great time in the car. I was listening to music, I was dancing in my car, just having a great time, moving energy, nervous about today, just want to make sure that everything went really well. And I stopped and I'm like, literally, I was like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this right now. Something's wrong. I shouldn't be having this much fun. I need to go listen to a podcast that's much, much better. Now, the fact that I was able to stop and recognize and be aware of what I was feeling helps me to shine a light on that. So I can make a conscious choice of I'm allowed to feel happiness. I'm going right back to my music. And Rachel, that's the first step. When we can be aware of what we're feeling and shine a light on it. And like I said, we can interrupt it. When we can do that, we're on our way to go. Because it's not an easy fix, Rachel. It's not just going to disappear overnight. But when we're able to take that step and just shine a light and just be aware, we're definitely on our way because now I can have an internal conversation. Whereas if I feel the joy guilt and I don't shine a light on it, just stop whatever it is that I'm doing and I make sure that I'm with everybody else or doing what I'm supposed to be doing to people please, I don't give myself a chance to stop. Shining a light on it, being aware of it, first place to start. Does that help? Yes, hopefully. Okay. Any other questions? Because these are really fantastic, guys. Okay. If you do have questions, right, please let us know because we are going to send, once we post this, we'll send this to you guys via email. If you ever need to send me a question, I'm putting my email into the chat, 358@gmail.com. And you can always email evolvemasterclass@gmail.com as well. And all the Evolve coaches can help you at that point too. I'm one of those coaches. I'd be honored to help you and to answer any questions that you have. And here's something that I want to bring about. So, what we did today, and again, first and foremost, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this. Whether you are watching it live or whether you're watching it recording, I am so grateful that you took enough time out of your day to be able to do this. I really hope that it helped. I hope you were able to take away a tool or two and realize that this is just the beginning. So at Evolve Masterclass and positively.you.net, we are constantly doing workshops to bring people awareness of great ideas to help them reach the next level of their life. Now, to reach the next level of your life, I don't know if you're one of those people, but I know that I have always been, since I'm a kid, one of those people where everybody comes and brings their problems to. Like, that was my job when I was in middle school, high school, college, law school. Everybody was like, oh, you give great advice. Just tell me what to do. And then you hold everybody's problems. I don't know. Maybe you guys have experienced that. Maybe you're a teacher or a yoga instructor or a coach, right? Like maybe you're your kid's little league coach, but you're that person that everybody comes to their problems with. How'd you like to get paid for that? Maybe, right? Little extra money. Maybe I could charge people because they're already coming to me for their problems and I'm bringing joy to myself and I'm giving myself space. So I'd love to be able to be paid for my time to solve your problem. You're in luck because Evolve Masterclass is doing a life coaching training in September. This is a life coaching training like you've never seen. Now, look, I've been doing this for decades. And I love what Evolve has come up with because it's called the Evolve Method. And it is a way to help your clients reach their goals. And it's surefire way of doing it. You're learning from an actual psychiatrist, Dr. Sari Lehrhoff, and moving through this evolved method to bring you ways of helping every single person that comes into your life and ways to market yourself and ways to build a business and ways to always feel like you are at the top of your game. Now, I will tell you that from personal experience, it has brought me to a new level in my life coaching business. I have seen results with my clients quicker than I had before. And all it takes is an open heart. So if that's something that you're thinking, hey, I'd love a side job, I'd love a career change, go to evolvemasterclass.com and sign up for the training. It's in September. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there and I'm fun. So I'd definitely love to see you guys there. And if you have any questions about it, let me know and I can give you a play-by-play and let you know how it's going to help your life, but most importantly, help those people around you. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for all of you guys that were able to show up and spend your afternoon. Thank you for all of you guys that are able to watch this on a replay because we just want to help people out there. It is free of charge. We're just trying to help you guys and make this world a better place together. Have a great rest of your day. If you're live with us, have a great rest of your Saturday. If you are watching this on record, have a great rest of what you're planning for the rest of your day. I will hang out if you guys have any questions. So thank you very much.